Well, hello everyone. Alejandro J. Tornato here. I am the founder and CEO of Tornato Speaking, Leadership, and Coaching LLC. And today it's my delight and pleasure to come to you because we are going to be doing a brand new episode of my Conversations with Influencers 2.0. As a matter of fact, I mean, once you know who my guest is going to be, I think that for this episode, I mean, I should call it Conversations with Influencers 100.0 because, I mean, we are just going to take the roof completely off. I mean, this is going to be a bombastic kind of an episode. And so, without me rumbling too much, I'm so delighted and happy to have with me someone that I want to get to know better. And I want all of you who are going to watch this episode to get to know this lady because she's enchanting, and she's got a powerful story. And we together, I mean, we are going to explore a little bit more about this wonderful guest that I have, and this is none other than Jessica Roman. So, Jessica, it's such a pleasure to have you in Conversations with Influencers.
Oh, thank you for having me, Alejandro. Thank you for inviting me. And to everyone on the streaming live or on the replay, hello, hello. God bless you. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, absolutely fantastic. And you're going to see there, I mean, she's got her name, Jessica Roman, and then next to it, you're going to see the motivational caker. And we are going to be talking about that because, I mean, uh, I can I can, even if we're doing this virtually, I can smell the wonderful smells of baking, and those, my goodness, I should have had a cup of coffee with me. But Jessica, let's start from the beginning. um you I mean, the way that we know one another is because we are both members of the wonderful tribe, the Connected Leaders Academy,
Mhm.
that my dear friend Jose Escobar started a few months ago, and we are now over the 200 member mark, and is just growing so rapidly, and just because of the tremendous quality of the entrepreneurs that are part of the tribe, and the networking and the collaborations, and I mean, it's just becoming not a tribe or a movement, even though it is, but it's becoming an enlargement of our own families. I mean, this is a family indeed. So, how did you know Jose Escobar? Where did you meet him? Where was the first connection? And tell us about your experience in the Connected Leaders Academy to begin with.
Okay, that's an excellent question. Uh, yeah, it was April of 2022 when I made a decision. And I made a decision to leave corporate America after 20 years of doing something that was not fulfilling my purpose anymore. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I did what my parents told me, right? Go to school, graduate from college, get a good job. And I thought that was going to be enough for me. But all of a sudden, I always had this pulling on me to be a creative person, to create things, to work in the kitchen. So I often battled with who I was and who I was supposed to be in life. It was April of 2022 that, after a series of events, I was led to just make a decision and leave corporate America. My condition was because I have a relationship with the higher power. I call him God. And I just said, Lord, if I make this decision, I just need you to bring a community of people to help me with the goals that you have put that with the vision you put inside of me. I know I can't do it by myself, and even if I could, I don't necessarily know if I want to. So a good friend of mine who is in business and marketing invited me to an event where Jose was there. We went to the Outcome and Breakthrough Mastermind with Dr. Oban Bowen in Orlando, Florida, in June of 2022, a few months after I had made my decision and was looking to make some action into how do I create this business? How do I go forward? I've been a cake decorator for 10 years, but how do I truly become not just a production based, a self-employed person, but make an enterprise. So I went to the Outcome and Breakthroughs Mastermind, and I met Dr. Oban Bowen there, and I met Jose and a few other people, and we just connected. I had heard of him before, but I went to him and I introduced myself. I said, "Sir, hi, how are you?" And he said, "Oh," he was so taken back by me coming up to him. He's like, a lot of people just don't introduce themselves like that, especially women. And I'm like, well, I just wanted to know who you were. And I wanted to hear from you instead of everyone else at the conference telling me how awesome he was, right? So I met him and we stayed connected through, we both are part of the Underdog Millionaire coaching program with Dr. Oban Bowen. So with that, they're partners with the CLA. And I was introduced to the CLA through that avenue, through my coaching. I came in July of 2022, fresh, right? I didn't know anything. I didn't know many people. I just knew a few people from my business event, and then I was just looking to, network, not necessarily promote anything, just network, right? See how people are and see how I can benefit them and they can benefit me. Build relationships. That was to build good relationships. And my experience so far has been amazing. I've met so many goal-oriented people who really motivate me to take my brand to the next level. And it really is about the energy that we exchange in these meetings, in our virtual coffees, that makes it so valuable to me.
I tell you, I mean, what a great, isn't that amazing that I don't know whether you are a believer. Well, you are a believer, but what I meant is a believer in the law of attraction. And I mean, it's when we are vibrating at a certain vibrational frequency, we become like magnets, and we begin to attract people, events, circumstances, whatever it is, because we, I mean, I heard it so many times, Jessica. We do not attract what we want. We attract who we are. And it's amazing that you went to that event, the Underdog Millionaire event. And as a matter of fact, I mean, Dr. Obam, he is part of the Connected Leaders Academy. I met Dr. Obam Bowen when I went to Manassas, Virginia, a few months ago to participate of Dr. Oliver T. Reed's, who is the writing coach on a conference that he was putting. And so that was my first interaction with Dr. Obam, and he is absolutely a great individual, and always with a heart to reach out, I mean, to people. And so then you left corporate America, and then you became, of course, an entrepreneur, and you have that entrepreneurial DNA inside of you. But why? And you touch a little bit on this. Was this passion of you, I mean, to bake and to be in the kitchen, and before we came live, I joked a little bit with Jessica. I said, I'm going to say, I mean, your favorite place is not the kitchen. That is your laboratory. That is Jessica's laboratory. That's where she creates not new bombs or explosives or chemical things, but she creates beautiful uh, bakings and cakes, and she was telling me that, I mean, that today, I mean, she baked I don't know how many donuts, and so that's now, was this passion for doing what you're doing now, for I mean, since you were like a kid, or did you develop that later on in your life?
That's a really good question, Alejandro. Thank you for asking. I'm the oldest of four kids in my family. So my parents had me very, very young. They both were parents. And I had three younger brothers and sisters who I had to care for when they were out working, it including cooking. And I was the oldest. So my mother would often call on her lunch break at work, call me, instruct me on how to get in the kitchen and boil noodles for spaghetti or chop the meat for the meatloaf. And I had to learn this over the phone because if I didn't do it, the kids wouldn't eat. So right, it was one of those things where you depend on the oldest child to do everything. At least my mother did. So I had to learn very quickly how to figure these things out because again, I didn't go to school but it always became one of those passions. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed making something and having someone else enjoy it. It's the it's the greatest return on investment when you can produce a product and have someone enjoy it and say, wow, I appreciate your energy. I appreciate your gift. This is amazing. And you put a smile on their face. That's the greatest return. So I grew up, and we moved from New York to Florida. My parents wanted to give us a better life. We all went to school and did well in life. And I got into the insurance field and did the 8 to 5. But there was something else calling me, a bigger purpose and a bigger passion calling me. So I started my cake business, but did it very part time. Not many people knew about it. It was kind of hush hush. I did it for friends and family. Going forward, it was last year that I developed a medical condition. It was actually September 11th of 21. And I haven't spoken about this on camera, but this will be the first time that I woke up, and I'm not sure if you are familiar with it. I had facial paralysis. I woke up one day and I had Bell's palsy. Half of my face was paralyzed. The right side of my face, I couldn't move it. I couldn't blink my eye, raise my cheek, or anything. And yes, it was so scary. Could you imagine you waking up one morning and you feel fine? You go to brush your teeth, and I went to go purse my lips to spit out the water like I usually do, but everybody else does, but I couldn't purse my lips. Had no control. So I looked in the mirror and I didn't see I didn't see myself. This whole part of my face was flaccid. I immediately went to the ER and
And
they
was
told me,
that and was that, Jessica, only the face? It didn't affect the whole body.
right. I thought I had a stroke, but after some tests, they said, no, you're fine. Brain function was great. My reflexes were fine. They said it was a nerve in my face that was not getting blood supply, and they couldn't figure out why. It's one of those unknown conditions. The worst part, though, Alejandro, was not that I had the condition. The worst part was that they couldn't tell me if I could be healed. There was no prognosis. The only They couldn't write me a script for a pill. They couldn't give me a prognosis. They said, Miss Roman, all we can do is send you home and tell you to be careful with your nutrition because your body's going to have to self heal itself, get a lot of rest, and wait and see. We don't know if you can get better.
And not only that, Jessica,
Mhm.
but they did not tell you, okay, you had this condition today. I mean, are you likely to have this condition in the future? I mean, or this is a one-time event, or this is something that could happen again and again and again. And so you just didn't know. I mean, you were in that unknown, uncertain situation. That, okay, well, this is today, but what about tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah, they couldn't tell me about. There was no certainty. So at that point, I went home. I cried. Uh, it was the probably one of the worst days of my life because you just are so the anxiety was at an all-time high. But of course, I did what the doctors told me to do. I got a lot of rest. I took a leave of absence from work. I was careful with eating my greens, my leafy greens, anything that would help my body to heal itself. It took about 3 months for me to start getting some blood flow back into my face, and about 6 months for everything back to align. In that time though, Alejandro, I think God does things, but I was really he needed my attention. It was during that time that I developed my morning and evening routine of meditation, prayer, journaling. The world was quiet for me because I wasn't on social media. I was embarrassed about how I looked. I wasn't going out with my friends and family. I didn't like the way I looked. Although everybody told me I was beautiful, I didn't see myself.
Mm,
But it was in that time that I think God just took me to a place of personal growth, being intentional with reading his word, applying the principles, working out the insecurities that had held me back from taking my business full force, to where when I finally got back to work, it was March of this year. I realized I didn't fit in there anymore. And God had told me in that time that I was supposed to speak, that I was supposed to go out and inspire the world with what I had been through and inspire them to really create their own greats in life, like not to let things that happen to you stop you from creating your own path. So when I got back to work, I didn't fit. It's like I was a new person mentally, physically,
mm,
emotionally.
mm.
Uh, and I just realized, I said, God, here it is. Here it is. He took the ability to speak away from me so that I would understand what it was not to have it. And when I got my voice back, when I was able to move my lips again, when I was able to move my eyes again, I would never, I told my God, I would never take it for granted ever again. I'm going to go and do what you told me to do. Hence, I married the whole speaking and the cake decorating. So I'm the motivational caker now.
No, I tell you, uh, obviously, I mean, I did not know. I mean, I mean, this story from you,
Mhm.
and the first thing that comes to mind is this: how true it is sometimes. It doesn't happen all the time, and it doesn't happen with everybody, but it's amazing that in order for God or whatever name resonates with you, the listener. I mean, it could be, I mean, divine energy and infinite intelligence. I mean, um, but the source. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, that sometimes that source, in order to get our attention, it has to bring us down to the valley, um, and make it completely dark so we don't see anything. I mean, where we are or where is the next step? I mean, nothing. And then it has to bring us to that point before we can say, okay, well, I think that now you you got my attention. I'm going to listen. And then it begins the journey up the mountain to the summit, to the mountaintop again. And then there's a tremendous learning and growing in that process that takes place. So that during those 6 months, that's that was the time where you, in a sense, and you can correct me, I mean, if I'm wrong, but was that the time that you really grew internally? I mean, as a person, that your level of awareness just was raised. I mean, and your mindset absolutely, I mean, changed. I mean, I think that it may have done like a 180-degree. I mean, you were going this direction, and all of a sudden, boom, you started going the other direction, and that's where your passion or your additional passion for personal growth and intentionality and human potential and leadership uh, began to flourish.
I would say definitely yes. I've always been into personal development and an avid reader and someone who loves to talk. And in fact, all of my customers, they say, Jess, the best part of ordering from you is coming to pick up the cake because I can sit here and have a cup of coffee. We can talk about life, love, and everything else in between. But I would say during that time where I was truly, I was in the house. I guess I was in a place of hiding because I did not want to go out. uh, it was a time where I journaled and reflected and meditated that I realized there were some things inside of me that still needed to be worked out. One was and I talk about this all the time, perfectionism. I had this thing where if I wasn't going to be the best, I didn't want to try. It was my parents wanting so much from me when I was a young child that they instilled to me, you have to be the best. You have to, and we all four of us are successful in life. However, I always had that in my head where if I wasn't the best, I wasn't enough. So work journaling and working through those things and praying and meditating and realizing it was an issue. You don't really know what's inside of you that you have to work out in your subconscious until you write it and you realize in journaling, wow, that's still there. I thought I was over that. Wait a minute. How do I combat this? And then you start getting revelations, meditating. I say prayer is talking to God, but meditating is allowing God to talk to you.
Mm,
So
yeah.
after my prayer, I would meditate and the solutions to getting over those things, the situations in my childhood that were still resonating in my subconscious, I had to heal. I went through it was not just a physical healing, but it was an emotional and a mental healing for myself of the things that were holding me back in life. I was hiding behind a desk in corporate America. It was okay. I paid my bills. It was 8 to 5. I had weekends off. I went to vacation every now and then, but I was hiding behind what I thought was the right thing but it wasn't the right thing for me. And through that time I healed and I came out different. And here I am.
You know, your story is in part that getting out of corporate. In my presentations, in my speeches, sometimes I bring the story that I think when I became aware of my purpose in life and the things that I was passionate about and what I wanted to do, I was working. I mean, in engineering. I mean, I'm a chemical engineer myself, and then I was working there, and I think that I outgrew the cubicle life. I don't know whether you were in a cubicle or in an office, but in any case, we outgrew the cubicle or the office, the corporate office, and the walls. I mean, it started to just come closer, and we didn't have. I mean, we were limited, and we had those limitations that we couldn't move, and so as we went, it's like the bird that is inside of a cage. Now that bird can fly inside of a cage, but their flight is very limited. I mean, because it goes that way and it hits the cage, and it goes the other way and it hits the cage. But
Mhm.
it is not until someone opens the cage door and that bird flies that now all of a sudden it keeps on flying because there's no more walls and limitations. And that, you see, what was once limited now becomes limitless. And that is a great story, because I mean, I went through that, and so many people that I know went exactly along that pathway. And what a pathway toward freedom it is. Wasn't Is it not, Jessica?
I certainly would agree. I mean, uh, when I got back to work, right when I came back after I was healed, I spoke a little bit bolder. My presence was bigger because I had come into alignment with who I truly was. And then I just didn't fit in the boxes that corporate America had for me. So then they're looking at me like, who are you? I was very shy. I was very quiet, and but I had transformed. It was a transformation process. And then now you realize that, hey, the perfectionism is gone. I don't have to compare myself to anyone because that wasn't. I'm me. No one compare. I'm only in competition with myself. I'm trying to be a better version of myself. And there are people called to me that are different than people who are called to you, Alejandro. And that's the thing. I don't need to please everybody.
No,
I just have to please and serve the people who are called to me in this world. So
that's
that
right.
means I got over rejection. I got over all of the things that was holding me back from taking action in regards to my dreams. And I do feel free. I feel like I'm limitless. I feel like I'm just ready to do God's work. now.
No, that's, I mean, that's absolutely incredible, unbelievable, and as a matter of fact, no, it's not unbelievable. It is very believable, because yes, it's not the first time, but every time that I hear stories like this one, it's wow. I mean, this is how a beautiful thing it is to resonate and to be with someone who has that awareness of uh, personal growth and continue to develop. I mean, someone who uh, truly believes in her heart that we are still works in progress. You
Yeah.
see, the stone, the piece of marble, yes, is begun to be chiseled, but the masterpiece, the Leonardo masterpiece, is not yet complete and finished. We are in the process, and we need to keep chiseling. I mean, those things. So, um, where I mean, what are you doing then right now? I mean, and what are the next step, or what is the next step in your personal human evolution?
Ah, wow. That's a really big question. Where am I now? So, I've gotten a lot of opportunities being connected with the Connected Leaders Academy. I've made good relationships with people who have events going on, and they've heard my story and thought it was amazing and have invited me to speak on their platforms. So I have an opportunity to inspire other people who are going through limitations in taking action. Like, what is it for me? It was I had to go through a period of transformation, but for you, it could be something else. But sometimes hearing someone's story can motivate you to take action on your own.
Sure.
I guess my next, so right now I'm creating a coaching program. It's Yummy Coaching Factory, excuse me, Yummy Coaching Factory. And just like my mother did with me over the phone, taught me how to cook at 11 years old in the kitchen, I'm offering the same service to anyone, a busy professional, maybe a stay at home mom, anyone who wants to learn the art of baking but doesn't know where to start and doesn't have $100,000 to pay a private culinary school to teach them. They don't have the time or the money. So that's what I'm doing what my mother did for me at 11 years old and giving it to the world. Finally showing up with who God made me to be to help other people develop the culinary skills that are lacking in schools now. They're not even teaching basic home skills or anything. Everybody picks up the phone and they want to order, right? So the things that we order, how about I teach you how to do it so that you can have a sense of pride and and doing that.
Wow, that's now
Yeah.
now let me ask you this. I mean, I know that, I mean, that you have that passion, I mean, for baking and cakes and and but do you, I mean, uh, do you do other things? I mean, like, I mean, not just sweets. I mean the things. I mean, the donuts and the cupcakes and I saw a post. I mean that you're starting to explore and see what you can create in your laboratory when it comes to pumpkin, because it's coming. I mean, the time with pumpkin spice and pumpkins. Everything is pumpkin. I mean, and so, I mean, do you, and you are passionate about that? But are you passionate about, let's say, baking a lasagna or doing, I mean, doing other things that are not sweet things?
Okay, so one thing about food, it brings people together, Alejandro. Everyone needs to eat and we
Yeah.
it brings us together. So yes, yes, yes. I love to cook. I love to cook and I do an amazing lasagna. We'll have to share that one day together, right? But I truly enjoy the creative aspect of baking,
Okay.
the creative, the colorful aspect, the limitless ideas.
Yeah.
With the lasagna, it it looks good, but it tastes good. But with a cake, there's so many ideas. There's fondant creations, there's tinting different colors, custom creations. And that's really, as a creative person, that's where my mind is. That's where my heart is. That's what I want to do every day.
Are you still now? You said, have you ever? I mean, in this journey, have you ever taken any classes? I mean, or and everything that you know was, in a sense, self-taught. I mean, you explore and you practice and you did things, and perhaps, I mean, you messed up and then you learn and you do it differently. I mean, was that the route? I mean, no formal education when it comes, I mean, to culinary skills?
That's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. Yeah, so my traditional education was in health information management, and I was a certified medical billing and coding specialist for 20 years for a health insurance company. I did what my parents told me to do, right? I went to school, I got a good job, but all around, I still had this creative thing that was calling me. So it was 2008 that during the recession in my corporate job, I got laid off. It was 2008 and I had a bunch of time on my hands. At that time, we didn't know what was going to happen. Things were crazy in the world and I didn't have that much money. And even the money I had, I didn't want to spend it. So I went to a local chef school and I asked them, I was like, look, I don't have much, but my energy in my two hands. Can I come and serve your guests for free and maybe just pick up on what I hear going on in the classes? Can I come and serve your guests and give you volunteer to wash dishes, wash aprons, whatever it is, so that I can gain the knowledge of what you teach here? He said, of course, free energy. So I would go and I would come ready to learn, but also ready to serve. So it
Mm.
was an equal exchange. For 2 years, I learned, I picked up on what I heard in the chef school, and I would come home and practice in my own kitchen. And I would get it wrong. Of course, it's what the picture that I had in my head would not transpire to a beautiful cake, but I just relentlessly, I was like, I'm gonna get this. I wanted to get it. And it's funny because I was living with my mom at that time, and she would wake up to whole cakes in the garbage can from me baking at night. She would wake up and give me a lecture because there were whole cakes in the garbage can. She asked me, well, why are you throwing the cakes away? I was like, Ma, it just didn't come out right. She could understand. Wait, you threw it away because it didn't look right? Like, wait a minute, you threw the cake away because it didn't look right? She's like, it looks wait, you threw the cake, the yummy, delicious cake away because it didn't look right. So she was baffled. And I was like, yeah, Ma, it just didn't look right. In my head, I'm trying to so I had some learning obstacles. There were some things I had to continue to learn, technical
Yeah.
skills. We still laugh about that to this day. She's like, "Yeah, Jessica, you threw away whole cakes because they didn't look right." That
Yeah.
was the perfectionist part of me trying to work things out, right?
That,
So yeah, for 2 years, I volunteered, I listened, I went in my kitchen at night, and I baked and I baked and I baked and I decorated and I decorated, and over time, selling to my friends and family. The word got out. I got some wedding contracts, local wedding venues. They hired me to be their wedding cake decorators as I learned how to stack the cakes and how to level them and the different advanced techniques over time. It took me 10 years of blood, sweat, and tears for me to get to the level of professionalism, creative abilities that I needed to be successful here. And now I just want to give it all away in a package.
but I mean, that shows me, I mean, I hope that it shows to all the viewers, um, that, and John Maxwell says it, I mean, when people come and says, of someone, hey, but you are an overnight success, an overnight success. And then John Maxwell replies exactly the same way. He says, if you think that I am an overnight success, I invite you to do the things that I did over a period of maybe 20, 30, 40 years. And then after you've done that, come and tell me whether you think that I am an overnight success or not. If you are prepared to put the blood, sweat, and tears for 20 or 30 years consistently, then you have the right to call me an overnight success. But if not, don't come and tell me anything about overnight success. I don't want to even hear it, because overnight successes, as far as John is concerned, they do not exist. No one becomes an overnight success. When you look behind the scenes, then you begin to see the hours upon hours of practice, of, of relentless practice, whether you feel like it or you don't feel like it or whatever, that you had to put into your life to being, and you just said it. I mean, it took you 10 years to perfect techniques and to work through techniques and to do whatever it was required. And now you are where you are, but not because you are an overnight success. It's because you put in the work to be who you are right now. And you're still on that upper slope. I mean, you have not reached the destination that perhaps you want to reach. I mean, you are still climbing. And that is, Jessica, that is what a true entrepreneur, I mean, that is what a true influencer is. Is someone who it's on a continuous pathway, and they know that the destination is there, but I am still a work in progress. I'm getting there. And what a great, I mean, what a great story, what a great life, I mean, that you had. I mean, I'm sure that it like you said, it was not easy, but I'm sure that now you look back and you said it was all very worth it.
Yeah. And it was that personal development piece that I believe is so crucial in someone taking action. Because how many people are qualified to do things in this world, but they don't believe that they're worth the return. They don't take action because no one's ever told them, hey, you have what it takes. Hey, they don't believe it in themselves. So it was the personal development piece that I feel like I went through for those 6 months, where God really had to sit me down, all the way down, and have encounters with me on what was holding me back. For me, it was the perfectionism. I felt if I wasn't the best because I didn't have a culinary degree and that people had more credentials than me, that I wasn't enough. So once that went away, that well, I won't say it magically went away, but over time, me working some things out within myself, I realized I had grown to a place where that didn't matter anymore. It doesn't go away, it just doesn't matter anymore. The people who love me are going to love me, and the people who are not, they won't. They prefer something else. It's about preferences in life, and that's okay. Which allows me the freedom to go and walk and really just influence those who are called to me, and not worry about the ones who may reject me. It's okay. It's truly okay not to be everyone's cup of tea. But for the ones who love me and I love them back, we have work to do, right? We have work to do in this world. And not only that, but replicate that. So how many people am I going to influence, and you're going to influence, Alejandro, with this platform that you have? And how many people are they going to influence out in the
That's
world?
right.
It's about the legacy of the influence, not just
And and you know one thing, Jessica, people like you, like me, like many others, I mean, the people who are in the Connected Leaders Academy, um, I tell you, we don't do it's we are constantly influencing others. I mean, influence is something that we cannot get away from. The question is not whether we are influencing other people. We are. The important question is, how are we influencing others? Are we influence them in a positive way, in a way that we enhance them and elevate them and bring the best out of them, or because there are people that influence others in a very negative way, in a very, I mean, it's like the rotten apple that makes everybody else, I mean, rotten. I mean, they're influencing, but they're influencing for bad, not for good. We are those who uh, we are influencing because we want to reach out to people. We want to make a difference in people. We want to make an impact. We want to have people go through those transformative experiences that are going to change their whole lives. And it's such a great thing. And I can see, I mean, that you have, I mean, you have that inner desire. I mean, you're just, in a sense, I mean, you're just getting started.
Thank you.
And you got that momentum, I mean, going. And yes, I mean, we are riding the big waves, is it not?
We are riding to me. Let me tell you, there's not a lot of people on this path, right? It takes a lot of faith to be on this path, to sit out there and say, okay, God, I'm gonna do what you told me. And you said that the Bible says, right? Put my kingdom first and everything else will be added to you.
Yeah.
Not many people have that faith. It was safer for me to be behind the cubicle. It was safer for me to be behind the desk. It was safer for me to mask who I really was in life until I realized, well, we only get one life. Why are we playing it safe?
That's exactly right. I mean, it's so many people are hiding behind, you said, a desk, behind a job that perhaps, I mean, they hate and they don't like. They're hiding behind a mask. As a matter of fact, I mean, now that I said they're hiding behind a mask, those people who are hiding, my goodness, they were so happy in the midst of COVID because they were hiding behind a true, I mean, a physical mask, and they felt, and I tell you, I felt so liberated when we did not have to wear masks anymore.
Yes, me too. Me too.
Because, I mean, yes, I mean, it's I think that there's that barrier. I mean, it says, no, I don't want that mask. I mean, I don't want that barrier. I just want to show myself up truly. I mean, truly, I mean, who I am. I just want to show that to the world. And you are the same kind of a person.
Absolutely. That's why we're leaders and that's why we're connected, hence the Connected Leaders Academy.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So I tell you, it's I mean, with you, I mean, we could certainly talk, I mean, for many hours and then cover so many subjects. But for the purpose of this show, I think that I want to wrap it up. I just want you, I mean, to share some final thoughts about today's episode. And also, I mean, if you can just tell the audience, if they want to contact you, which I encourage everyone to do. um, uh, how they can get in touch, or contact you. So the stage is floor, my dear.
Well, just thank you again, Alejandro, for the opportunity to be on your show. I was honored when you asked me, and I was so excited, looking forward to it, leading up to the days, where we could have an opportunity to connect. So thank you so much. Uh, I would leave my guests with this two acronyms that I go by, and these are my acronyms. PI, which is to prioritize your individual energy, meaning self care is so important in having clarity on your path. Self care, and it doesn't mean getting your hair, your nails, or your makeup, or guys getting the beard trimmed. It means truly prioritizing what you need to show up as your full self. Whether that's journaling, reading a book that you enjoy, watching a movie that makes you laugh so that your spirit is lighter going into the world, whatever it is that Alejandro needs for him to show up as his best self, to prioritize your individual energy. Another one that I say is cake, of course, how fitting, right? The motivational cake. So I say, right. So pie is prioritize your individual energy, and cake is continual acknowledgement of your known essentials. Again, going back to self care. What are your known essentials in life? The foundation of what it needs for you to be operating at your base, at your best self. And it's a continual process, right? Because we evolve and we change over time. So who I was 5 years ago, my needs are different now. It's a continual process. Having a self-awareness and really getting to know yourself and who you are. I tell you, you show up differently in the world. And then you start attracting, like you said, the law of attracting, you start attracting the blessings that are meant for you. So those are the two things I would say, guys. Take care of yourselves first so that you can be your best self and give the overflow to everyone else attached into your life. And from that, you'll start discovering what you like, what you don't like, your purpose, and believe in yourself enough to go after it because there are so many undiscovered blessings. Just if you act on faith, everything else will show up for you. And if anyone wants to talk to me, you right now I take emails and I can schedule virtual coffees through the Connected Leaders Academy. So they can add me on Facebook here under my name, Jessica Roman, or you can follow my business page, Jessica Roman Cakes, which is just my name with cakes at the end, or Jessica Roman Cakes at gmail.com. Yummy Coaching Factory is launching November the 5th. And there's going to be a launch party here in Tampa, Florida, where we're going to have several members. And Dr. Obama is coming to speak. I'll have Dr. Reed at my event here to give me, some blessings as I start on my new journey with coaching. So that's all for me today, guys. And I thank you so much for your time.
My goodness. Well, you can now you can say that when we talk about pies and cakes, pies and cakes are not only to feed our stomachs, but pies and cakes are also uh, very nutritional things to feed our minds and our souls. And I love that. Um, um, I mean, prioritizing your individual energy,
Yes.
um, that is absolutely, I tell you, I'm going to be feeding and feasting on pie from now on. I think that is going to be great. But Jessica, so thankful that we had this opportunity, to connect, for me to get to know you. And it's just incredible. We will stay connected, through the Connected Leaders Academy. And if there's definitely, if there's anything that I can help you, I can do, never hesitate, to let me know. So um having said that, this has been um a cakey and pie kind of a session with Jessica. It was great, great nuggets, really gold nuggets. That you shared with all of us. And my fellow listeners who are following the Conversations with Influencers 2.0, um, I hope that you feel that you are really fulfilled and satisfied by listening, to this episode. And this is not the last one. So I tell you, I'm looking forward. When Conversations with Influencers 2.0 will come back again with another incredible guest. And until then, all the very best and be well. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you. Enjoy lots of cake and pie, guys. Take care.
Okay.